Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to the Managed Methods webinar, Google Classroom and Beyond, Cybersecurity, Student Safety Monitoring, and Attendance Reports in Hybrid Learning. I'm Jake Kosowski, and I'll be your host today. Now, before we get started, a few housekeeping items I want to quickly cover. All attendees are muted, but please feel free to ask questions in the chat panel at the bottom of your screen. Yes, there will be a Q&A at the end of the presentation. Please submit your questions via the chat panel, and if you'd like to take some time to let us know where you're watching from today, please feel free to do so as well. Yes, this webinar is being recorded and will be available shortly afterwards, usually within 24 hours of completion, and will be sent via email. And we'll start off today by discussing cyber safety and security in hybrid learning and cloud environments. Then we'll give a demo of our new Google Classroom monitoring capabilities before we take the remaining time to answer your questions. And I'm joined today by Satish Narahari, Managed Methods Chief Product Officer, and David Waugh, our Chief Revenue Officer. Now, David, let's have you start things off, and I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for today's webinar event. We have a very, very large crowd today, and we appreciate everyone's interest in what we are doing here at Managed Methods for the education community. Just a quick primer for those who may not be familiar with us. Managed Methods is a cybersecurity, safety, and compliance company dedicated to the education environments, and specifically for education organizations that are using solutions from Google, such as G Suite for Education, Microsoft and the Office 365 products, Zoom, Slack, Box, Dropbox, and other types of cloud-based file sharing and communication and collaboration solutions. As I mentioned, we are dedicated strictly to the K-12 education community, and we are pleased that today we are protecting millions of users across school districts around the globe. Staff, students, protecting the data, the privacy, and the well-being of our users. We are proud to call Colorado our home base. We are based in Boulder, Colorado, at the foot of the Rocky Mountains, and we have had our product in the market for a little over 3 years. We are involved with many education organizations to make sure that we not only ensure the safety and well-being of our customers, but that you know the data we work with you on is safe and secure. We have many certifications through organizations such as iKeepSafe. We're members of the Student Data Privacy Consortium, signers of the Student Data Privacy Pledge, and our platforms are safe and secure through our partnerships with Google, Microsoft, and others. Pardon me, my screen jumped forward there, sorry. So let's get into the primer for today's product announcement and what we're working on. Challenges within the cloud-connected schools have been there for a long time. And those of you that may be familiar with us, or if you're just learning for the first time, we focus on three main areas for our customers: helping them with cybersecurity, ensuring cyber safety for the users of those systems, and helping maintain compliance with federal and state regulations. But as a result of the pandemic, educators now are having to rely on more and more types of technology. So these types of challenges have become more and more in front and center. So the challenges that are out there existed long before COVID and the pandemic, but now the exposure is way more obvious than ever before. Cybersecurity, student safety, compliance, they're out there. They're now being challenging our IT departments in our school districts more than ever because of limited visibility and control outside of the school borders, the school walls. Why is that? Because lots of traditional tools and security methods are no longer adequate to meet the growing challenges out there of a hybrid or a remote learning scenario. Whether it be content filters and firewalls or perimeter-based controls, they were not designed to tackle these challenges now. The blended hybrid remote learning is magnifying these problems more because of more usage of cloud-based systems and newer applications, whether it be learning management systems, whether it be student devices, the lack of visibility into the content being shared, and the fact that the sheer number of devices now accessing a school's environment are greater than ever before. So the cybersecurity, cyber safety, and compliance challenges will be magnified, and all school districts that are now implementing new technologies for the upcoming school years and beyond have to first and foremost be able to answer the fundamental questions of security. Can they monitor and control those systems they are putting in place? So the ability to have visibility to monitor, audit, and report on the who, what, when, and where, to ensure data security and privacy, no matter which devices and where they're being connected from, and to mitigate threats, all while trying to monitor the well-being of the human interaction with those systems, monitoring for safety, threats, and other inappropriate content and behavior. So that's where Managed Methods, we specialize and where we come into play. We give unparalleled visibility into your environment, such as Google Drive, shared drives, Gmail, Microsoft Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint. We can go beyond where traditional technologies cannot go. We give you visibility into how does file sharing look like within your domain between these cloud connected systems. We can tell you what's happening in Gmail or Drive or chat, and as today, Meet and Classroom, and talk about what third-party apps are being connected into that environment. What we're going to do today now is we are going to continue to take steps further, leading the security and safety movements within K-12 environments by unveiling our Google Classroom support today. We're also going to recap some of the features we unveiled earlier this spring to meet the challenges of the pandemic with Google Meet and Google Chat, which, to remind folks, used to be called the Hangouts Meet Chat. And we'll also showcase some of the other features and functionality that we have. Again, for today's purposes, we're going to be focusing on specifically the Google environment, but we will highlight some of our abilities across the board. With that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change up my screen. I'm going to switch this over to my partner and allow him now to share his screen, and Satish Narahari will introduce you to our product and the features and functionality. Satish?
Thank you, David. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, based on where you are. Thank you for taking time to join us today. What I'm going to do is I'll start with the classroom and show you the features that we're releasing now. And then I will give a very high-level overview of the product for those of you not familiar with Managed Methods. I'm going to log in. We do use Smart Capture, which doesn't trigger all the time, but if you're logging in multiple times, it does trigger. That's what you just saw. So I'm going to go into the G Suite and go into Classroom. So what we're adding now is ability to manage classrooms in your environment. In our school district, in this environment, we have 5 classrooms. Obviously, in a real school district, the number will be a lot higher. And European history is being taught by Charles Morgan. And I just got news that Charles got promoted. He's now our IT director. So he's no longer teaching European history. And I was told that the European history will now be taught by Jake. So, and Charles is super busy. He's already out there fixing all the Chromebooks. So he doesn't have time to go and transfer this classroom to Jake. So as an IT guy, I'm asked to do that. So, and Charles is also my new boss, so I have to do what he tells me to do, right? So the owner is Charles Morgan. So what I will do is I'll go ahead and add a co-teacher. I'll add Jake. What we're doing now is we're actually modifying Classroom to add Jake as another teacher. And now I can go ahead and transfer that classroom to Jake. So now Jake becomes the owner of this classroom. And Charles is still the co-owner, but we can go ahead and remove Charles now because his new role is IT director. He's no longer a teacher. So now the class belongs to Jake. This addresses one of the problems we heard loud and clear as the pandemic hit and schools went to remote education. People were concerned about what they call orphaned classrooms. This might be because a teacher decided to quit and they left the organization, and they had a bunch of classes they were teaching that they needed to transfer them to a different teacher. So what I just showed you is that use case, how to take control of Google Classrooms and transfer them. Let's go back to the classroom, and you can see details about the classroom, including who owns them. And by looking at here, you can see if there are any classrooms that students have created them. This is the other problem that we heard, which is not just unique to classrooms, but also with Hangouts chat. Students were creating these Hangouts chats or Google Meets and talking to each other. In fact, in some incidents, high school kids were creating Google Meet, inviting elementary school kids and were harassing them. With the classrooms, you can see who the owner of the classroom is. And if you find a student owner here, you can have a conversation with them. Or the other flip side of the use case is, I have a student that is supposed to be in a bunch of third grade classes, but they are not. So I was told Sarah Thomas was supposed to be in 6 classes, but she's only in 3 classes. So I can look at all the courses that a student or a teacher is enrolled into and look at them, right? So that is a very high level, the classroom management, right? You can look at it from all the classrooms in your environment, who the owners are, transfer the ownership, add co-teachers, etc. And also review from a student perspective or a teacher perspective, all the classrooms that they belong to. One thing that, if you're familiar with classrooms, that teachers do is, you come here and you create a Google Meet. As part of the class, you have a Google Meet where students will join and teacher will go through the material and might cover an assignment or might have a Q&A, etc. One problem we're trying to address now is engagement, right? In a physical education scenario, all the students are in front of you. If they are thumbing on their phone or looking somewhere else, the teacher can interfere. Whereas with Google Meet, some students might not even join. So I'll create a Google Meet, generate the meeting link and send it to the students, right? And I expect the students to join. However, we find that some students may not even join the Google Meet. To address that, we have added support for what is called, we call it Meet Analyzer. You can go ahead and analyze all the Meet activity. For example, I want to look at all the Google Meets that happened in our school district in last 1 week. And I was told that David's Google Meets have low attendance, and he wanted to find out who is attending what. So I just filtered by David Waugh. Here are all his Google Meets. There was one that just had 1 person attend. But you can see all the students and staff that are attending David's meetings. And he can get this report and take action on that. If a student is not attending a class that they were supposed to attend, they can have a conversation with the student or the parent and remind them that they're expected to be joining these Google Meet classes. We hope that by giving this ability to IT, you can help your teachers. The teachers themselves are doing a lot more now in the remote education scenario. Not only they have to amend the teaching to remote education, they also have to track assignments, submissions, etc., and do Q&A with students. In addition, keeping track of who is attending the Google Meets and who is not is not the easiest thing for them. So we hope that this report will help you do that. The second use case that we have seen is that some students, I talked about this, right? Some students were creating meetings with only students in them. So just so they can harass each other. If that is the case, you can just filter by students only meetings and figure out what all meetings took place without staff in them. That covers the new features we wanted to go through. I do want to give you a very high level overview of the product, especially if you are new to ManagedMethods. So here is our login screen. I can log in with my Google account as administrator. And we do, as David mentioned before, we support G Suite. We also support Office 365. It's very common that schools have, some schools have both G Suite and Office 365. If that is the case, you can manage both from the same product. We also support Dropbox and Slack. So from a summary perspective, you can look at where all the activity that is happening in your environment. For example, here is a bunch of logins happening from all over the world. It's actually not very unusual to see logins coming from locations that you don't expect. Most often they are failed logins because the bad guys are always trying to hack into systems, and they're running scripts of maybe from Romania or from Eastern Europe to try to hack into an account, right? So you'd actually see them here. And then we are automatically scanning for risk, whether personal identifying information or self-harm, that a student might type in a message that says, I'm really depressed. I don't know what's going on with this coronavirus. I don't know, is the life worth living? So there might be self-harm messages being sent around. We automatically detect those using machine learning models. Or it could also be aggressive behavior. As schools went from in-person education to remote education, there is still that energy that especially high schoolers have, that they're trying to channel somewhere, right? So they might turn that into aggressive behavior via email or Google Chat. So we're looking for them. And once we find them, we can alert the IT admin or the school psychologist or the school principals, so they can have a conversation and take action. We also look at all the content that is in your Google Drive. We're automatically scanning everything that is being uploaded and modified, etc. For example, here is one that has credit cards docx. If I click that, we found a bunch of credit card numbers in this doc. We often find, not very surprisingly, in your G Suite Google Drive, bunch of movies being uploaded by kids. These are copyrighted movies from film studios, right? So you really don't want to have them in your G Suite environment because that opens up legal liability for you. You can also do live file search if you're doing an investigation on a specific student. You can come and find all the files they created that has the specific words or that might have been shared with outside world, etc. We also automatically scan all the emails for not only risk, but also for phishing attacks. What we do is we take all the links in a URL, in an email, and scan that URL using industry-leading databases to check if they have been compromised and if they are phishing links. For example, here is one that has a URL that is a malware and a social engineering link. Similar to files, you can also do search all the live emails. If you're doing an investigation on a specific student or a group of students, you can come here and search for all the emails that have specific words sent between this date, etc. The other big risk we see in schools is third-party apps. Lot of not only students, but also staff, install shopping apps like Amazon or Rakuten, and log into the app using their school's Gmail address, G Suite address, right? And most of these third-party apps require broader set of permissions than really necessary. For example, Amazon app wants to be able to read your email and send emails on your behalf. That's not good, right? So you want to discourage staff and students from using school's G Suite account with third-party shopping apps. For example, I can look at the 3 apps. Rakuten Cashback, as I mentioned, does require view email messages and settings. I cannot understand why a shopping app would want to read your emails. If you still want to let them do that, use your personal account, not your school's email account, right? So you can detect that. We can come here and I can either send a warning to the users or altogether remove that app. When you remove that app, it will automatically disconnect the user's account from this third-party app by revoking the OAuth permissions that were granted. Risks is where you can see all the risks that we found in your environment. We also scan images. For example, here is an image that looks like violence, looks to be a post-robbery. We often find, unfortunately, adult-natured images in school districts that you really don't want to have them in your G Suite environment. And if you find them, you can have a conversation again with the student or the school psychologist and principal. So you can take corrective actions there, right? We can detect those. We can also detect threats. Somebody threatening by sending a picture of a knife or a machete, etc. Right? We have a set of machine learning algorithms behind the scenes that look at images and text to detect these risks. Malware is we're scanning all the files to detect malware. And then policy violations is where you can review all the violations that happen in your environment according to the policy that you set. Our customers, when they get started, they get default set of policies. And by working with our support team, they can further configure these policies to meet their specific IT goals. Just to give you an example of what these policies would look like. So you can set a policy on the contents, that is your Google Drive or shared drive or emails, or you can set a policy on a user policy. So if a user logs in from an unapproved country, often what we see is that any country outside of the United States is considered unapproved. You can either suspend the user, send a warning to the user, or reset their password so they are forced to come to you to access their account again. In the case of app policies, as we talked about, you can either revoke the access, send a warning to the user. There is a whole bunch of conditions you can set to further refine what your IT policies should be. On the content policies, if it is a drive file, you can revoke the shares. If a student, if staff creates a document that has student information, and instead of sharing it with specific people, they were to create a global link and share it with anybody that has a link, then you can come and revoke the share here. So that is at a very high level, 100,000 feet view of the product. If you are interested in an in-depth demo, we'll be happy to do that. Just contact our sales or reply to the webinar email. We'll be happy to schedule that. At this point, let me stop sharing and David can lead the Q&A. David?
Thank you, Satish. Apologize, I was trying to get the unmute button clicked there. Well, thank you for that introduction. Very exciting, very cutting edge technology announcements that we are super excited about. We have been working as diligently as possible with our K-12 audience over the past several months to meet the needs in preparation for the upcoming school year. And we're very excited about these features and many more things that are happening. So let's go ahead and take a look at the chat board. I see lots of questions that have been popping up. Some of these items I will have to defer back to the experts at your school and or Google because they're applicable more to Google itself in some of the questions. But first and foremost, let's start with one of the questions we have out here. Are classes created for teachers or teachers create their own? That, in most cases, is of course going to be a Google implementation question within your district, but based on our experience with our customers, most teachers are creating their own classrooms themselves once they've been set up inside of Google Classroom. So the teacher would be creating the classrooms and inviting students. However, as we just demonstrated with our platform, if a district is utilizing our technology, the IT department can do some administrative and auditing controls over that. Are we able to make bulk changes? Let me see here if the screen's moving on me. This is one of the challenges with the chat board there. Are we able to make bulk changes? Also, can we as a admin from that feature pop into the classroom? Satish, do you want to take that one on the question on the bulk changes? Because I don't know the exact answer to that.
Yeah, so you can do the bulk changes from the classrooms. However, it's the scenario might be you want to add a co-teacher for a bunch of classes, right? You can do that.
Okay. Let's see here. Another question we have in here is, does it show the IPv4, IPv6 address of where the account is logged in from? And then can you search by those?
Yes,
And the short answer I know is yes. Satish, you want to elaborate?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't go into that part of the product. We have a very in-depth login analyzer that shows you not only the IP address, both IPv6 and IPv4, and also the ISP from where they logged in. And you can search up by the IP address or IP range as well.
Another question is, does ManagedMethods collect or retain the student data? The answer is no. We are not hosting, backing up, or storing the data in any way, shape, or form. That is in your environment. So when you implement our technology, you are granting our technology access into your Google or Microsoft cloud domain accounts through an API, what's called an OAuth token, and we operate within your environment. And so we maintain the strictest of data privacy and security rules simply because it's in the best interest and it's required by law. And so we do not have your data. That stays within your environment, and your IT administration controls our platform in the environment. Good question. Another question is, students have access to reviewed files in Google Classroom. How much time are they present in the classroom? So we are, the files that would have been in a classroom are going to be in Drive, and we're going to be monitoring that through the platform as well. And then as Satish described in the demonstration, we can show you who are members, what classes they're enrolled in or participating in, etc. I'm not sure of the exact question there, so hopefully, Satish, did you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I want to add that also that stay tuned for student participation in terms of assignments and submissions. There are some things that we're working on there as well that would be coming soon. Today we as David said, we are automatically scanning all the Google Drive uploads that are submitted from the classroom, etc. In addition, from a student activity perspective, there are some things that will be coming soon, so stay tuned.
Thank you, Satish. Another question here is, is the Managed Methods capabilities around Google Meet and or Classroom limited to school managed devices? And the answer is no. This is device agnostic. It is involved in this case in your Google domain. So that is a great question, because many of the challenges that school districts are scrambling to meet for the upcoming school year, besides internet connectivity, is then devices to connect to that. Because if a school is in a remote learning situation or a blended hybrid situation, you're going to have students that are going to be accessing and participating in classes potentially from non-school issue devices, a parent's device or a big brother or big sister, or the family has been able to purchase a device. So that's a great question. We are living inside of in this case, the Google domain. So it does not matter whether they're accessing from a school issue device or a bring your own device type of scenario. So great question. Another question is, can I see how long a student has participated in the session when they're at home? Yes, that's kind of along that same line. So it doesn't matter where the student or teacher is accessing, in this case, the Google Meet or Google Classroom environment, whether they're in the school building, whether they're at home, whether they're on a school issued device or a personal device. We are anytime, any place, any data, anywhere. So we're going to see it all because we're inside of the school's Google domain, or if it was a Microsoft environment, etc. Do you have to license the Google and the Microsoft separately? No, it is all connected into the same license environment. So we have many of school districts, as the individual says, we are a blended school. The staff is on Microsoft and teachers and students are on Google. Yes, so that's a very common scenario we see with many of school district customers, is a hybrid environment where Microsoft Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint are being used maybe on the faculty, staff, district side, and then the students and the teachers in the classrooms and whatnot are in Gmail, Google Drive. And we cover all of the above. Question about pricing on our platform. We are an annual subscription-based service that ranges across for your environments of $16 for a staff account on an annual basis, $2 for a student account on an annual basis, and there's various groups you can access our platform through. So you can work with ManagedMethods.com or visit ManagedMethods.com to find a reseller or a partner near you. Another question, yes, it is, the annual subscription does cover everyone in the environment. Can you do a staff only? We have students on another. Yes. So in this particular question that's coming in, they're explaining that they're looks like a K through 8 organization, and their students are walled off, so they have no outside access, and they want yes, we can license just your staff as well. We have many school districts that use this only on their staff side. Do we offer a free trial? Yes. Go to ManagedMethods.com and you can get access to a 30-day free trial. Right now we have many school districts that are doing just that in preparation for the upcoming school year, especially if the school is looking at a fiscal period of, say, September 1 or October 1. We have a lot of districts doing that right now. Implement, takes a matter of minutes. You're talking roughly a 10 to 15 minutes tops to activate and set up the platform and off and running. And our team provides free onboarding, training, and services to get you set up. And we take you all the way into the process, and you'll be up and running in no time. I think that's pretty much hit a lot of the questions. I'm real quick scanning back through. Is this a content filter? No, we are not a content filter in the traditional sense. So I say that as a yes and no. We are looking at content inside of the Google environment, or in this case today, as we talked about Classroom or Meet or Chat. We go beyond where traditional legacy content filter methods would go. A traditional content filter, say a firewall or another type of filter system, they are looking purely at web surfing traffic. They are going to see that you have typed into your URL, your browser, that you're going to a Google or Microsoft environments, but their visibility is very limited as to where they can go. And we go beyond where traditional, say, perimeter-based filters and security controls go. Definitely those are solutions you would want to have, certainly in your district, but they don't do what we do. We're a whole different category. Good question. Well, I think that covers all the questions. Oh, here they come. Here's some more. Can you encrypt email when you send them? We're not doing email encryption. That's being handled by Google or Microsoft. So that's actually already being taken care of. So if you have Google or Microsoft, they're already in transmission. It's HTTPS protocol, so they're already encrypting their communication strings as it transfers the data. Is there a list of options? This is a good question. A list of options in which we do differently than what is provided by Google. Yes, when you contact your representative, reach out to ManagedMethods, and one of our team members will be happy to walk you through that. We don't see this as it's not an us versus someone else in this conversation. We have many school districts that use us complementary side by side with their tools that they have from both Google and or Microsoft. Google, Microsoft, Zoom, other vendors that we work with all have really good out of the box native types of controls for administering the environments, but we are designed to complement and go above and beyond where many of those tool sets go. And that's why we're in the partnership programs with Google and Microsoft. And so when you contact ManagedMethods and arrange for a demonstration or a free trial, we can certainly walk you through those differences and explain to you the differences. Maybe this has been answered. Pricing questions, yes. So when you reach out to ManagedMethods, your sales associate or the partner that represents ManagedMethods will be happy to handle the pricing. We are an annual subscription-based service. Our published list price in the market is $16 for staff accounts for a 12-month subscription and $2 for a student account on a 12-month subscription. And we work with you as the district on your licensing numbers using the NCES, the National Center for Education Statistics database, and the environment you're going to license, depending on if you're going to be licensing staff and student in a full domain-wide environment, if you're doing staff only, or in some cases, based on your environment, we have the ability to separate out maybe non-technology use students in those cases. And I think that might cover all the questions, and we have reached the top of the hour. In fact, we've gone a little bit over. We appreciate everyone joining us today for this session. As you see up on the screen now, there's the 30-day free access that we've talked about. All you have to do is visit ManagedMethods.com or send an email to sales@ManagedMethods.com, and a member of our team will reach out to you. We greatly appreciate this opportunity today to present ManagedMethods and our offering. Again, you will receive an email after this event with follow-up information, including a recording of today's event. So we thank you for joining us today to learn about our new offerings around Google Classroom, but we are here to help for the upcoming school year and beyond, and to help everyone get through these challenging times that are facing our school districts with blended learning, hybrid learning, remote in-person. Regardless of which route you go, we wish everyone safe being. Stay well, stay healthy, and thank you for participating today. If you'd like to learn more, visit ManagedMethods.com. Have a great day. Satish, thank you. Jake, thank you. I think that wraps it up.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.